Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Say something.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and press members. Very warm welcome to this press conference called Amplifying Voices of Hope and Resilience. My name is Sonia Olsson. I'm coordinating Brahma Kumari's environment activities globally, and I'm very happy to be your moderator for this session. We are here to learn and to be inspired, to increase hope and resilience in these critical times when we are facing challenges posed by our climate change. What gives you hope facing the reality of global warming rising well above 1.5 degrees and necessary actions not taken? Here at COP, the faith leaders have a faith pavilion, and they are also putting resilience at the heart of the conference. And our speakers today, they are thought leaders in these topics, and they will contribute with a narrative of positive transformation in this time. I have with me, and a warm welcome to the three of you. Golo Pils is an energy advisor for Brahma Kumaris, and he will kick off this session by presenting the work of Brahma Kumaris worldwide in the environment field. After that, we have the honor of having Lindsay Fielder-Cook with us. She is from the Quakers UN office, representative for human impacts on climate change. Welcome. Lindsay will share her insights on transformation, challenges, and hopes that define our collective journey. And finally, Sister Jenti, to my left here, she is additional administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris, and she will share her wisdom on how to increase hope and resilience, providing a spiritual perspective for these challenges we face. And then we have time for questions from you, and most welcome. And we also hope to have time for a short reflection at the end. So our first speaker is Golo Pils. Since the early 90s, he's played a key role in establishing Brahma Kumaris as one of the major users of renewable energies in India. And he was part of the team constructing a 1 megawatt solar thermal power plant, India 1, which can store solar energy and run 24 hours. And Golo advocates sustainable solutions for ethical and value-based approach. And he's been part of every COP conference since Copenhagen in 2009. So welcome, Golo, and you start us.
Yeah, Sonia, thank you very much for your introduction. And just to give you an overview what Brahma Kumaris is doing, we are a spiritual organization headquarters in India, in Rajasthan, in Mount Abu. It's one of the sunshine states of India. And we have 5,000 meditation centers in India and 800 meditation centers abroad. So 25 years ago, we thought to harness the power of the sun, and we set up a recognized solar research center with the government of India, and we do research in photovoltaic, solar steam cooking, water recycling, hot water plants, solar passive architecture, and solar thermal power and energy efficiency. And I just want to share some examples what we're doing. Here you can see our retreat place, the Om Shanti Retreat Center near Delhi in Manesar, and there we have a 400 kilowatt solar thermal power station, and we have equipped it with batteries, and in the background you can see also the dishes of a solar steam cooking system. So this retreat center is energy autark to a great extent. At least if the sun shines, we have enough power. But you might have heard that Delhi faces often sort of fog and air pollution, so the solar radiation is quite low sometimes. Here you can see a solar steam cooking system which we built in 1997. This was financed by the German government, the GIZ, and it's comprised out of 24 parabolic dishes which are focusing the sun onto a heat exchanger. And in the heat exchanger we have water, and we generate low pressure steam, and we send the low pressure steam into the kitchen directly, and we can cook lentils, rice, and vegetable soup and so on. And this system is able to produce 600 kilogram of low pressure steam. It's enough for 2,000 meals every day. And it was also sponsored by the German government. And unfortunately, about a month ago, we found out that it is heavily corroded. It was 25 years old, so we had to demolish it. So this is the last picture. And we're building right now a new one based on photovoltaic. Here you see another solar steam cooking system, which we built in 1999. This is still fully operational. It's based on 84 parabolic dishes. We increased the dish size, and we produce 3,500 kilogram of low pressure steam, and we cook 35,000 meals every day by the power of sun. And these dishes are based on the design of Wolfgang Schäffler. He's an engineer from Germany, and you can look it up in the internet under Schäffler dish. And the design is open source, so you just can download the blueprints and you can build it yourself if you have a small workshop and you can know how to weld things together. And the cost at that time was $250,000 US, and after 4 or 5 years is payback, so it's a win-win situation. Then about 15 years ago, we designed a new project, India 1, a 1 megawatt solar thermal power station. This was a 10 million euro project. 50% came from the German government Ministry of Environment through GIZ. 25% we got from the Indian Ministry for Renewable Energies, and 25% came from the Brahma Kumaris, and we worked in collaboration with research institutes. And the speciality is that we set up a 1 megawatt solar thermal power station with storage. You might know that one of the critical areas is storage of the energy overnight, so we can store 24 hours, and we have 770 dishes of 60 square meter. They focus the sunlight on a receiver, and in the receiver we generate superheated steam up to 500 degrees, 44 bars pressure. You can see here from from the top view, the whole solar field, 700 dishes, the turbine house, and we installed in addition also 1 megawatt of photovoltaic, which is grid connected. So the 1 megawatt solar thermal power station is standalone, and we are supplying to our main complex in Arbor Road in Shantivan the power. The system is running very nicely since 5 years, and we have about 30 brothers there who maintain and operate the plant. We also do a lot of training and education. We did more than 40 workshops with engineers from all over India and train them in solar thermal power, photovoltaic, and highlight the advantages of this. But we also train the local population. We have, in the peak time, we had about 200 workers employed, and now we have about 30 people employed, and we trained them in and qualified them in metal work. Another project which is just going on is a new biogas and waste management project, and we have a waste collection station, segregate the waste, sell out the plastic, sell out the paper, and then we have a biogas plant, and we have a gas filtration also. So the plant is just under construction, and hopefully by the end of the year will become operational, and then we will run a 50 kilowatt generator from the gas output. So theoretically, as per the calculations, the generator should run 6 to 8 hours per day. So we hope we will achieve that. So that's also quite innovative project, as we will run directly from the biogas generator. Then you have to filter and clean the gas a little bit, but it's not a big deal. We also run a big so we have many more solar systems in India, 500 photovoltaic systems, 8,000 batteries, and solar cooking systems all over. And we're trying to roll out photovoltaic and solar power to all of our centers and use them as a replicator. So visitors see the success story and they replicate that technology. We have around 100,000 visitors per year coming also to the power plant. This is our tree plantation program. And we planted so far 2 million trees all over India, but also internationally. There's an app, and you can make a photo, plant the tree, and count in your app how many trees you have planted. We also work with farmers and have set up a program called Sustainable Yogic Farming, in which we teach farmers meditation and mindfulness. And interestingly, the plants and the field is reacting. We work with university in India and have confirmed our findings. And if you meditate with the plant and the seeds, apparently the microbiological composition of the soil is changing and you get a better output. Here you see also the output with carrots. And now we're identifying 70 prototype farms in India, and we're also working with the Indian Ministry of Agriculture. So how to deal with the unfolding climate crisis? We promote an inside-out approach, change of our mindset through meditation, strengthening of moral and ethical standards, and once the morals and ethical standards are there, then we reach out to humanity to raise awareness, promote a low-carbon cyclic economy and also low-carbon farming model, promote vegetarian, vegan diet, and promote also the use of renewable energies. For outsiders, we have created a meditation app called Yogis for Future. There are 200 meditation commentaries, 5 minutes long, for nature, for the self, for peace, for love, and harmony. So I'm sure if we all join hands and we change our mindset and we become loving and compassionate, we all together can heal the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Golo, for giving an overview of projects and initiatives, which in the very end gives a lot of hope and resilience to all of us. Our next speaker is Lindsay Fielder-Cook. You have an education in politics, sustainable development. You have worked with refugee protection and reconciliation, youth work, coordinated donor activities in conflicted regions across the world. And you work with the Quakers UN office, focuses on climate change, environment degradation as peace and justice concerns. And welcome to Lindsay. You're also a very good friend of us, and we've been colleagues for many, many COPs, so I'm just really happy to have you on the panel here. Welcome.
Thank you, and it's wonderful to be here too, because climate change is often framed as a spiritual crisis, the climate crisis as a spiritual crisis of human beings, since we're driving these rates of catastrophic emission rises. I'm here to speak really from the international level. We're also very involved in the IPCC for the climate science. So if I quote a climate science, we're actually in those negotiations as well as here, and the Human Rights Council. And I promised I'd speak briefly on challenge, hope, and resilience. And for the challenge, and this is spiritual, I would say some of the biggest challenges in these spaces and in the world is fear and denial. You see that in the negotiations, a real denial. We look at we know exactly what's driving, what are the main drivers, and we have everyone talking about alternatives to maintain actually the system we have. Money and power, I would say, is also a great challenge that we're dealing with, and we see that in these rooms. We also see that the systems, our economic, our energy, and our agriculture systems are not working, and they are driving planetary crises, not just climate change, but also others, land, ocean, biodiversity. So finishing on the challenge, one of the challenges at the COP we're seeing is an attempt to normalize fossil fuels through technical approaches which are not yet proven to scale, which are more effective, less efficient, and actually are a real wrong to our future generations, because we're pumping emissions into the ground, leaving them with this faulted approach that doesn't even have models to hold us to 1.5. So I want to move to hope. Hope, we work on human rights-based approaches, and that's about how do we do climate action well. It's powerful and beautiful, integrating human rights, indigenous people's rights, biodiversity protection in how you do climate action, and more in these spaces, the politicians are beginning to see and understand what it means to do it well, to do it in a way that people and planet benefit. Another hope, New Zealand in the pre-COP just said to the entire plenary, how many of you really think that the expansion of fossil fuels, which most of us in this room are doing, will enable us to have a 1.5? A developed country speaking honestly in front of everyone. That gives me hope. Loss and damage gives me hope. 10 years ago, we sat in the rooms of negotiations just to get it recognized. Now we've got funds. It's too late, it's behind, but it's happening, and things do change. So for resilience, people, resilience, building your own, what Golo was talking about. If our systems aren't working, how do we re-transform our systems to benefit people and planet? And I think that talks about equitable societies, talking about air and land, talking about how we could live more healthily, and realizing that climate change and climate actions are actually about having a more healthy and sustainable and clean system than the inequitable and polluting systems that we have now. And there are ways forward if we can shift the money and power structures. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. Thanks for highlighting the challenges of fear, money, power, inequality, and pollution. Spiritual crisis in the deep roots. So maybe you have some questions at the end on that topic. So our next speaker then is Sister Jenti Kirpalani from the UK and India. She's our additional administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris and main representative of the Brahma Kumaris to the UN Geneva. And she is a spiritual teacher over 55 years, and she has dedicated her life to self-transformation and service of humanity. And she has led Brahma Kumaris delegation to the climate change conferences since COP in Copenhagen in 2009. And she is just a champion in creating a just and peaceful world and bringing spiritual principles to the discussion. So welcome.
Thank you, Sonia, and good morning to all of you gathered here. And I'm very grateful that Golo shared with us technical details of hope and resilience and what can be done with renewable energies and yogic farming, etc. And I'm very grateful to Lindsay for outlining the things that you've shared with us, especially the aspects of hope. That was really lovely. And for me, I'd really like to share the spiritual approach of how things that are going on inside can impact the world outside. Well, we've seen what the greed and anger and ego of human beings can do to the world, so I don't want to spend any more time elaborating on that. We're facing the dire results of all of that. But how can we turn this around? And I think for quite a while, in certain parts of the world, we've actually disconnected with ourselves, but also we've disconnected with the divine. In some parts of the world, I don't need to mention names, but there's still very much an openness about discussions about the divine. But in certain parts of the world, you cannot speak about that at all. And so I feel that this disconnect has created a state of despondency in humanity, because it's only when you come to the spiritual consciousness of the self and the divine that you can see things beyond the immediate darkness, because there is something very beautiful beyond. After the night comes the day, that's normal. But at the present time, because the dark night seems so intensely dark, we feel that, well, what can we do? Sometimes there's a sense of hopelessness. But in fact, beyond the darkness, there is light. But also, each and every one of us, personally, individually, if we are able to change our mindset, change our consciousness away from just the connection with the physical body and come to the awareness of the eternal being that each and every one of us truly is, then our vision goes much wider. We're able to see much further, and we're able to see the light. And so, in day-to-day matters, I know that when we think about the economic situation, the natural disasters, so many different wars going on, all of these are part of the world today. And climate crisis, of course, is a major one within all this. But just looking at these things, then I understand that, yes, not just one individual, but I read a notice as we were coming here, and there's many interesting, inspiring messages as you walk around. But one particular thing struck me as I was rushing to get here, and that was how one individual can be a catalyst to create a movement. It didn't say spiritual, but one individual can be a catalyst to create a movement that can change the world. And I know that this is true because our founder was one such individual that has sparked a spiritual revolution across the world. But I know that each one of us can also do the same. Each one of us can begin to change the way we see the world and our role within the world. And when we do this, then we can see that, yes, I as an individual have an impact on at least 100 people around me. Think about the number of people on your phone, and I'm sure it's over 100. And so just sending a message of hope to each one of those on your phone, and there you go, you're beginning to start a movement of seeing things from a positive perspective. But more than that, change of diet. People sometimes think that that's a difficult thing to do, but we're in a world in which we love to experiment. You know, you want to have Chinese one day, you want to have Mexican another day, you want to have Indian the third day. So we're constantly experimenting with diets. And it's not a big challenge. It's a very simple thing to start thinking about and experimenting with vegetarian food or even vegan food. And I think that would have an impact on the world in a major way. We're concerned about transport, so we should be. But agriculture itself has 14% of an impact on carbon emissions. And so if even the group that's here, and who knows how further that impact can go, but if people start thinking about changing their lifestyle in simple ways, there can be a big difference. So hope for the future means changing my vision away from limited, narrow perspectives that are bound by gender or race or culture or religion and tradition, and to go beyond that into the awareness of spirit and spirituality. Resilience for me means having inner strength and power to be able to overcome the challenges and come back to a state in which truly humanity is at harmony. Harmony within myself, harmony in relationships, harmony with all the creatures that actually have a rightful place on the planet. And we think they don't sometimes, but they do. And also harmony with nature itself. And I see that the starting point for that comes from within. You cannot create harmony by putting things outside in different packages. But when I come to terms with my own identity, the inner identity, and I'm stable and have that inner self-esteem and dignity, I'm at harmony and peace with myself, and it rolls on further and further, and together we can definitely create a world of harmony also. Thank you for your attention. Om Shanti. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Jenti, for bringing up the topic also of one person can be the catalyst. And I came to remember a press conference with Professor Schellenhuber, who is now the former director of Potsdam Research Institute. He gave a press conference in Bonn, and suddenly he says, I think maybe one of the room was packed, and he says, maybe one of the people at the very back row here is the catalyst we need. And it's like here, there was technical people sitting in the back, and we never know who that one catalyst can be. And he also said unusual alliances is also necessary to form these, to find these catalysts. So thank you for that. We have time for questions, and if anyone you like to ask anything, you put your hand up and you ask for the mic and stand up, and the mic will come to you. There's a gentleman here in the front. And we have a few minutes, so if you make the questions short and sharp, yeah.
What would you say, thank you all so much. What would you say, or how would you hypothesize a scientific explanation for how meditation increases growth of plants? And do you think we'll ever have an explanation for that? Thank you.
You want to take that, Kolo? Yeah.
There have been a lot of research has been done in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in Harvard, in Oxford, and many famous universities. If there's an influence, mind, matter, and it has been found that the mindset or the, let's say, the attitude of the person has an effect on experiments. That had been experiments, a peer experiment has been done where they had created random generators, and then they put people in a certain state of mind, and they found out that the random generator is being affected by the state of the mind. And then they made experiments also with plants, and a simple experiment with a plant which is very sensitive. They took a fire, and the person burned the plant, and the plant reacted. You know, you could measure that the plant reacted. The juices inside, the electrical current inside the plant, they changed, and the plant really was under stress. And then they changed the experiment and told the person, just stay outside and think that you will go inside and put fire to the plant, and the plant reacted. And then they put the person 20 kilometers away and said, at a certain time, now you think on that particular plant that you will go there, put the lighter there and burn it, and the plant reacted. So these experiments have been done 30, 40 years ago. They're all on record. You can read them up, and plants do react to our mindset. Always when I talk to people about it, especially people who have a garden, I ask them, do you talk to your plants? And they say, yes, I talk to my plants, and I feel that the plant is reacting to it. So there is a connection between our mind and the physical reality, and quantum physics in many areas is proving that there's a connection. There has been also very famous double slit experiments in the 30s, and they found out that the mindset, the observer, has an impact on the outcome of the experiment. You can also Google it up, it's all over the internet. So it's actually nothing really new what I'm talking about. You just have to do it. It's old knowledge of the people, also with the traditional, with the indigenous people, it's also there.
Thank you. Well, great. We have time for one more question. Actually, my question... Yes. We have 3 minutes left in total.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your presentation. I was wondering, do you have any words for how to be an advocate while also balancing inner harmony with the world and yourself?
I think that I can be an architect for inner harmony if first I have that intention. I think everything starts with intention, and if this is where I want to go, then things will evolve in that way. Another word would be introspection, because we're always focused out there. But when I start looking inside, and introspection, introvert seems to have a negative connotation, but introspection, to look inside, to look within, and then know that I'll be guided. So I think those 3 words are important.
Thank you. And Lindsay wanted to chip in.
Burnout is a real risk if you're an activist and an advocate, because you want to change everything and you want it to change now, and nothing seems enough. And I think that inner grounding, we talk about a spiritual or a faith, but someone who doesn't relate to a faith, it's still that inner nurturing, and you need to take time. And I think also in activism, anger doesn't always reach people. It's important, it helps fuel, but anger without love, anger without listening, actually doesn't inspire in the long term. And I think those of us who take time to nurture the inner and the spiritual may find that they are heard more, because they're not in the face, they're actually also listening to the fear and the worry of others, and finding it as a solution together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we are coming towards the end. We are doing daily, Brahma Kumaris is doing daily live streams from COP Climate Wisdom Studio, and here on this slide you can see the program we're having tonight with Carlos Cepeda and Dr. Vera Rodenhoff. And you can get all the information on next slide. We have our website, and there is also the website of Quakers UN office and the Yogis for Future, where you find the meditations. And we're having a program in the Children's Youth Pavilion today. You find it on the calendar. So let's have a moment of silence before we finish and send our good wishes to COP, to the planet, to the plants, and to all living beings. So please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. I'm sure your favorite trees could feel that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sonia.